We're back. Thanks for watching our programs for Small Business Week, sponsored by Southern Background Services. With me is Barbara Giamanco.
Hey, Ruth.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Barbara has sold $1 billion worth of product. That's a B, right?
Yeah, with a billion with a B. Oh, but it's been over a period of time.
That's okay. But I mean, you know it from the selling side.
Yes.
But you know, you kind of got into the social media side way back like 10, 15 years ago when it was just starting out.
That's true. After I retired from Microsoft, I have a passion for technology, so I couldn't stay away. So even though I love helping to train salespeople to be better at selling, and small business owners, by the way, who often struggle with that, I started experimenting with the early social media tools. So yeah.
You know, the one thing I really like about what you do is you say, look, social media is not going to sell for you. It's a tool to help you sell. The sales process hasn't changed, has it?
No. Well, some things about the process have changed in that the buyer journey is different. And so buyers have more control because they have access to the internet, and they start doing early stage research on products and services. And that's whether it's business to consumer or business to business. Buyers also have higher expectations of salespeople. So if you're just pitching instead of demonstrating you can help solve business problems, that doesn't go over so
I
well.
ask stupid questions, right?
Right. Yeah, actually, you know how I feel about this. Don't ask questions you can get the answers to on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You need to demonstrate to buyers that you've done some homework, you understand a little bit about their business. I like to say validate, not interrogate, right? Because that's the way we used to be taught in sales. You go in and you just line up the questions and you do all this discovery, and buyers don't have a lot of time for that today. They expect you have actually done some of that early homework yourself.
Well, they have to show, I think, that you absolutely need to know who they are to even see whether they can use your products or services.
Well, there is a reason why, unfortunately, every year, and it's predicted to happen again this year, a little over 50% of salespeople do not make their sales quota.
50?
Over 50. And, obviously that's a problem. So back to your earlier point, you really do have to be able to sell. You can use, so some of the experts will tell you and make it sound like all you need to do is have a great brand online and, connect with a few people and those deals just roll in.
Oh, yeah, right.
I've been in sales a long time. It just doesn't happen that way. There's no easy button to selling. So you can use social media to get to the right buyers and get those sales meetings. It's what you do in the sales meeting and throughout the rest of the process that makes the difference in terms of whether you'll close that business or not.
Got it.
Yeah.
So is there any one better tool than another? Is it better to use, say, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest? I mean, tell me, there's so much out there, and tomorrow there'll probably be a new one that pops up.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could be on Snapchat, right? That's the new hot thing with the millennials. So the tool that's right for you is based on your audience. And it's funny, before I came on the show, we're just chatting about that. It's so important that you know the characteristics of your audience. If you're in business to business, certainly LinkedIn is probably going to be one of the key tools. But also don't discount Twitter. I mean, there's some great opportunity to start conversations there with no
140 characters or less.
Right, and there's no barrier to having a conversation, whereas on LinkedIn, you've got to be connected and so on. And not everybody, I mean, if you're a visual business to consumer, if you're in real estate or restaurants or weddings, things like Instagram and Pinterest are going to play really, really well. And then, even in your space, I know you do a lot of work with HVAC. Well, that's a great audience for Facebook.
Sure.
So the tool that you choose is all about making sure that you understand who your core audience is, and then you understand who the technology is targeted for. That's where you choose to spend your time.
And also realize that that's only a way for them to get to know you, but you still have to go out and knock on the door.
Absolutely. I mean, there's this thing called the phone, and it's really great. It's not obsolete technology. At a certain point, at least in my experience in selling, is at a certain point, you're not going to just close deals by texting or having a conversation on Snapchat or, via LinkedIn. You got to get on and talk to folks. Now, that I don't believe that every meeting has to be in person. If it was, I wouldn't have a business because I have a lot of business that happens outside of Atlanta and even outside of the U.S. But yeah, you need to talk to people. That's how you negotiate the price. That's how they, determine whether or not you're the right fit for them.
And you can do that through Skype.
Yeah. Oh well, that's one of my favorite tools. I love Skype for both video and audio. That's why I use Skype to record all my podcasts. Because who wants to be limited to only talking to people who can either just come to your office or live in the U.S.? I talk to people all over the world, and I love Skype for that.
Okay, cool. So If somebody is really interested in using social media, where do you suggest that they start?
Well, they could follow me. Well, they could follow me. They could buy a copy of the book, right? The New Handshake, Sales Meets Social Media. But I'm serious when I say they could follow me because they can see the kind of content that I share. But also, they can look to see who I'm connected with. I'm connected with other influencers. But the thing that I would say is people need to be careful about who they trust, because not all experts are created equally, as you know.
As I very well know.
Yeah, you know that. So there are a lot of people who will claim to have expertise that don't. But I would say that you can, go to Amazon. You can find some great books on LinkedIn or Twitter.
And how much time should we spend?
Well, in the beginning, you'll spend a little extra time. You're going to clean up profiles. You're going to make sure that your brand is well represented. You may even need some help creating content. You'll have to get content posted and that sort of thing. But once you kind of get into a process and a groove and you understand what you're doing, you can get in and get out in about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, that's aside from any research you'd want to do before you actually have a sales call with someone. But when I think about the things that I do, I connect with people on LinkedIn. I'll share some content, read a few news articles that I might then decide to share with, somebody I'm trying to do business with. So it doesn't have to take long, but you do start with kind of your plan and you're getting your process down, and once you're in the habit of it, it's pretty fast.
Right, and the funny thing about it is if you want to, I'd love to go work with that company, find out who they're connected to on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Follow their company page, start, if you don't use a business intelligence tool, I use Inside View, but if you don't do that, you can set up Google or Bing alerts so that you can just pay more real-time attention to what the company is talking about, the kind of content they share. That's another powerful way to use Twitter, by the way, because you can follow the company and start to understand what kinds of promotions and initiatives and things they're working on.
Yeah, that's really true. Okay, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, other than buy the book, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Barbara Giamanco. I'm on Twitter, @Barbara Giamanco. You can Google my name. I'll pop up pretty fast.
And she doesn't use business cards anymore. She had to dig in her purse to get a business card.
I still carry some, but I don't have them very often, because often when I meet with people or I'm speaking or I'm doing a training, people just start connecting with me. And so, the need for having the business card is not what it used to be, at least for me.
At least for you.
Yeah, at least for me.
So, maybe business cards will go the way of the old telephones too, we don't know.
Yeah, well, there's, I've been using an app that's called Inigo app, which is kind of cool, so that I could meet you at a networking event, and then from my iPhone, I could just text you my digital business card. So I think we're going to probably see a lot more of that happening. Do you remember, I'm sure it's still around, I just don't use it, Bump. Remember, you used to be able to bump phones to share the contact.
Barb, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ruth.
And thanks to all of you. We'll be right back.